Hello, if you're just watching, just give me a few moments. I need to do some quick housekeeping and I will be right there. So, testing, testing. Testing, testing. Good. I can turn the sound off there. Good. And do bear with me. I'm almost. Good. Very good. Now, for those of you who said that you would be coming along, or for those who saw the advertisements, this is a discussion on things James Bond. You're welcome to leave any questions, discussions, and it's kind of a interlude before a group discussion that I'm planning to do later in some point in December with a panel of 2 or 3 people. So this is kind of half an hour or so, just chit chat about anything Bond really, and to go from there. And any questions you want to ask, etc. And I also said it would involve scrambled eggs and coffee. Well, I'm not drinking any coffee this evening because coffee and me are not good friends. Decaf and me are good friends, but coffee generally I tend to be very sparing of. And in any case, it seems a bit late in the evening to have. So I'm going to have some red wine, and I'll explain why in a moment. But I've also got some scrambled eggs, which I'm having for a supper, as it were. I suppose you'd call it a supper. I've already had my evening meal. Now, why scrambled eggs and coffee in this? Well, Ian Fleming said I was reminded of something he said. I don't know where he said it. I know it's been mentioned 1 or 2 dramatizations that coffee and scrambled eggs were, 2 things you couldn't go wrong with, or have never let him down, rather. But as I'm not having coffee, I thought I'd have red wine. Now, it might be a faux pas to have red wine with scrambled eggs, but hey, one of the Bond henchmen, as you know, Grant in From Russia with Love, had red wine with fish, which Bond, or rather Ian Fleming, saw as a no-no. So I thought red wine and scrambled eggs. Might be a bit bad taste, but there's something Bondian about it. So yes, that's my kind of discussion at the moment as to where all that fits in. Any questions you want to ask, please do not hesitate to ask them, and we'll get it set off from there. And otherwise I'll be talking non-stop for half an hour. So please leave a comment on, if you come through this through the Mars Hill blog, I believe a comment under the blog post that you see, and then I'll pick it up and answer it. Or click on the YouTube live stream that's coming through, and you'll get straight to seeing the live stream on YouTube, and leave a comment, and we'll take it from there. And yes, I've got 2 viewers, so if there's anything you want to ask or discuss, or any points you want to make, anything about the world of James Bond, that'd be great. But yes, I sort of nibble at them. Scrambled eggs. These aren't the best scrambled eggs. Normally, and try not to sound egotistical here, I make good scrambled eggs, in that they can be fluffy and light as they're supposed to be. But of course, typical. The moment when I'm doing something like this on a live stream, I can't see if they don't come across as fluffy, etc. They're a little bit browny. Still tastes good. The eggs were good. If the eggs were bad, I would have scrapped it and started again or given up. But all very well. So yeah, it's just the appearance is a bit less than it normally is. So c'est la vie. As things happen when they go live. And yes. I suppose I should say some things about the what's going to be happening further along the line. I'm trying to arrange at the moment in a few weeks' time, before Christmas, a panel discussion on James Bond. Now, initially, I was trying to set a discussion up on James Bond and lockdown. How are we coping with lockdown? And, you know, the growing growth of stuff among the Bond community in terms of YouTube videos, etc. Coupled with the latest Bond film, No Time to Die, which is now scheduled for a spring 2021 release. It's been going, you know, on a delayed. It's a bit like The Long Good Friday, isn't it, on one level? A 1981 film in the cinemas that was made in 1979. But which was actually one of Pierce Brosnan's very first films. I don't know if it's his first film. I know it might have been the first one he made. It wasn't the first one that came out, which I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, is The Mirror Cracked, which starred Angela Lansbury as Miss Marple. But yes, it's lost my train of thought. So that's what I would have discussed. I was thinking of what would be discussed in mid-December, but I have been thinking lately, this has also been a sad year for James Bond. We've lost 3 individuals who are much loved in the Bond community. Michael Lonsdale as Drax, Diana Rigg, who played Bond's all too tragically brief wife, Tracy, and also, sadly, Sean Connery as well a few weeks ago. And I thought perhaps a discussion on Sean Connery, his life, his career, and his tenure as Bond. But again, I will give that some thought and let you know what the outcome is. But yes, it's but I thought what would be good is to have a little interlude, a little discussion first about anything concerning Bond, or I might chat about a few things. I suppose I ought to say a few things off bat and take it from there. It's more like a prologue, as it were. And yeah, we'll see how it gets. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought there for a moment. But all's fair, as it were. Actually, that's something. Earliest James Bond memory would be The Spy Who Loved Me, when I saw, because I read something recently about what people's earlier Bond memories, or something to that effect. And yeah, it was The Spy Who Loved Me, and I don't know whether it was the first time it was on television. It might have been. It would certainly fit the chronology. But it's when the Lotus went into the water and turned into a submersible. And I was quite impressed by that. It's, yeah, that was one. I remember when Never Say Never Again came out in 1983 and being thinking, because I'd just about cottoned on that Sean Connery was a former James Bond, that this was a re-release of a 60s Bond film. And I so wish I knew it was a new Bond film and that Connery had come back, albeit not an official one. But yeah, it's Never Say Never Again's the earliest one that I remember coming out, but I didn't know it was a new Bond film. I thought it was a old one released. Oh God, but I was young. First one saw at cinemas, The Living Daylights with Timothy Dalton. Obviously, didn't see License to Kill, but I've seen every one since, including GoldenEye. But yeah. Otherwise, yeah. Let's see if anyone's left any comments on the page. No. And as I said, this is just a prologue. It's just a general discussion on things James Bond. And no one's come forth and said anything. And I know there's at least 2 people watching me, which is good. I'm glad you're watching me because, it'd be awful to be an empty audience. But it would help if, some people had something to say. But yeah, it's... but I could go on about things. Do I have a list of favourite Bond films? Which, yes, I do have some. I think the best one is usually The Spy Who Loved Me, for some very good reasons. I always keep coming back to that. And I think it's to do with being among the first. But GoldenEye comes a very close second. Yeah, and yeah, favorite Bond villain would probably be Scaramanga, Francisco Scaramanga. I thought it should be Blofeld, but when you try and measure up all the actors who played Blofeld and try and get something as close to the collective, then Blofeld slips down the list a bit. So Blofeld would be about number 3, number 4 my list, but Scaramanga's still pretty high up. And why I think Christopher Lee playing him makes a big thing of it. But he's suave, he's urbane, but the best Bond villains are the ones I think who you're a little bit scared of, a little bit nervous of. And that does make a difference, I think. But certainly, yes. It's one thing to go with. But, yeah. Anyway. That said, does anyone have, again, any questions you have, anything you want to ask, please don't hesitate to join in. And I would be more than happy to answer any questions. And I suppose what else is there about Bond? I do read the novels. I've never really read. I've read Dr. No. I sort of flitted through Casino Royale, browsed through it. Which is not good, is it? I've read The Living Daylights, the short story, and I've sort of read Octopussy and the was it Property of a Lady, I think, But Octopussy and Living Daylights are the ones that came to mind. The Living Daylights. The thing I like, Living Daylights is one of my favourite Bond films. And I like the fact that the short story is right in there, and the film continues. It doesn't just, and spreads it out. So, in a bizarre way, The Living Daylights is quite faithful to the book. I mean, to the story, if you count the fact that it's a short story. Just continues the story from when the defecting person is rescued. And obviously they changed things. They moved it from Berlin to Bratislava in what was Czechoslovakia, now Slovakia. And they also changed it from, to a defecting KGB, etc. And they did little things like that. But otherwise, there was not much difference. But again, any questions you want to ask, please don't hesitate to ask them. And yes, we'll take it from there. And nothing much so far. I'm just checking to see whether there's anything on. No, there isn't. So, yes. So, still 2 people watching. So, and so I've mentioned off the top of my head stories. I mentioned earlier memories and favourite villains. And I suppose the big question, the question that's asked everyone, is why? Why the liking of a lot of fans, I suppose, if they ask, there's something about Bond they don't like, they don't approve, and I'm obviously I share that. So why the popularity? I think part of it is Bond is a very complex person, and I suppose we're all fairly complex people, and purely on that level, we identify. I mean, we may not have gone through what Bond's gone through. I mean, good God, but we identify with the mere fact that there's complexity. But I think that's it. And also, it's very fast-paced. It's entertaining. And you've got a lot of travelogue. Scenes. You've got stunts that you think, oh my goodness, how does Bond get out of this one? And I love those. I mean, Live and Let Die is not one of my favorite Bond films, I have to say. It's one of my lower tier Bond films. There's a lot I don't like about Live and Let Die. But I love the crocodile farm scene, and I love the chase scene. And I think that really makes a difference, really. And, that's an example. I mean, 2 of my favourite stunts, which are the sort of stereotypical ones, the one where Bond's skiing off a cliff or jumping off a plane being pushed out of a plane without a parachute are 2 classic examples of that. But yes, there's otherwise not much. And yeah, anything else? Not really. In those terms, do I have any favorite Bond? What's it about my favorite Bond films I like? Well, there's Spy Who Loved Me. Sorry about all those noises. That's my iPhone's been charged and coming into life. A Spy Who Loved Me, I think, because it's the big grandiose stuff, but also, it doesn't sacrifice the drama. It doesn't sacrifice the plot. I mean, okay, it's a far-fetched scheme, but you're invested in the characters as well. The tension between Bond and Anya Masova, the Russian agent. and you've got these great stunts and these fine locations. And I think it's that I kind of like, and the music score in The Spy Love Me is brilliant, and the chase scene, the ongoing one from when the helicopter side, from the motorbike and pillion. So I have all these noises, and it's what comes in a sort of semi in North Hertfordshire in North, but motorbike with pillion to the Ford Cortina chasing the Lotus to the helicopter to the underwater. It's just, I love that. And I love one-liners. I love the one-liners in Bond films. And some of the comments were more like, all those feathers and he still can't fly, to, the third time when the helicopter suddenly appears and fires at them. And he soon goes, and you ever get the feeling when somebody doesn't like you? It's, it's things like that, I think The Spy Who Loved Me has all that's best, all that we like about Bond in spades, really. And I love the soundtrack and I love the music. And Nobody Does It Better is a favourite song of mine. So yes, that's. But with GoldenEye close second, I think my third, fourth, and fifth favourites been on Her Majesty's Secret Service, Living Daylights, and Casino Royale. And I actually have Moonraker at number 10. I think that kind of tells you where things are. My favourite Connery one being From Russia with Love, and yet my favourite Moore one being The Spy Who Loved Me. I think I kind of like that mixture between the drama and the OTT, which are the ones I really don't like. Well, it's more how badly executed. I think the 1967 version of Casino Royale, for what I hope are obvious reasons, is bottom of my list. With Live and Let Die, Goldfinger, and Dr. No. Not far. I mean, there are things about those Bond films, as I said, I like. I mean, Goldfinger, where Bond's talking for his life, trying to talk for his life while the laser's going up. I mean, the Aston Martin DB5, but Goldfinger can be quite. Well, Guy Hamilton directed films. There's something witty, but there's something sleazy and icky about them. And that's why I don't like the way they treat women in those films. I mean, a lot of the earlier Bond films have a misogynistic streak, but those ones I do notice it more. But yes, it's. But the middle ones, I tend to like. I don't say I like. I mean, Die Another Day. That's just for entertainment value. It's not, a lot of it I don't like for obvious reasons, but I can sit for it. Never Say Never Again. I think that they're among the best villains in Never Say Never Again, apart from Blofeld, which is bad because Max von Sydow was a very good actor. Tomorrow Never Dies, Octopus, View to a Kill, not one of the best Bond films, but Max Zorin is one of the best Bond villains. I'm scared of Max Zorin, and I do like to be scared of my Bond villains. I think that's what makes them good villains, if you're that tiny bit scared of them. And yes, I think that's one thing. But yes, what do I make of the novels themselves in general, having only read one, browsed through another, and sort of skimmed through a short story collection? Well, good question. I think they're a bit darker impression I get than the films. I think they're readable, clearly. And compellingly readable, otherwise they would not have had the success they have. They are, I think there's a lot that's not good about them. I get the impression there's, from what I've heard from others, there's racism, there's misogyny. It's pretty brutalized, and yet they don't have some of the charm that the witticisms that the Bond films have. So dark and tone, but they are. It's the style. I think what's compelling about the novels is the way they're written. But again, there's a lot to be critical of Bond novels, and they're not things I would go to leap into out of joy. Put it that way. But Ian Fleming certainly knew how to tell a tale, or how to get attention in telling a tale. I mean, he was a journalist for many years, so that's should not be surprising in that regard. So yes, and so I think I'm almost coming to the end here of this discussion, and it's not a group discussion. There will be one, I'm hoping, next month, and I will let you know when that's a bit more. And yeah, we'll take it from there. And if that might be about Sean Connery, it might be about something else. I will see. And also, there's Mars, from followers of mine on Mars Hill blog. As you know, I did a live stream on the US presidential elections, had a number of guests, and we had a discussion with several of us last week or nearly a week ago, in the aftermath of the elections. I'm hoping for a discussion at some point in early December about Christmas and lockdown, and taking it from there, and just working it through. But thank you for being with me this evening, the two of you who are watching. And for those actually who are not watching this live and are sort of coming in later, I knew there wouldn't be too many audience, but I was kind of hoping that there would be some kind of discussion, but clearly not to be. And I've had to sort of go on about what I like about Bond and don't like about Bond, and that's basically it. But I hope you've had a good evening. Hope you've been entertained, and I hope you keep up to date with my blog and follow it and leave comments when need be. And I hope also that there'll be further discussions along the line, and there'll be further evenings like this, but there will be guests, so it'll be a bit more entertaining, shall we say. But with that, I bid you adieu and say good night. Over and out.